Hello everybody, this is Chris Border, MonkeyDude1313, and this is a near-complete master set of black and white legendary treasures. This is Wishlist Wednesday, where we flip through our binder, we're only missing a few cards, and you get a little bit of stories along the way about when we got them and how we got them and why we got them. Some fun facts about other cards related to them for one reason or another, and you get to see which ones we're missing, so we can kind of go on that collection journey together. So, in Legendary Treasures, this set is a ton of reprints. So, I went out and I chose a few that are fun, pulled out some cards that they are reprinted of, and we can take a look at those when we get to them while flipping through the binder. So that's this deck here. And then this. This is the Charizard Binder using our, I think, Italian or German Dragonite First Edition Holo as a bookmark. So, of course, since this set has a Charizard in it, we're going to have to take a little bit of a dive into the Charizard Binder to pull out the ones needed to slot into those pages. So, without any further ado, let's get going. Like I mentioned before, this set has a ton of reprints. It was the last set in black and white, and it decided to make reprints of old cards and change the art on most, if not all of them. So it'll be fun to go through, take a look at these. All of these starter lines, for example, came from black-white base, and they were reprinted here. Some very nice Yukimori art here, but let's do the first flip here, and we get at the end of the grass section and into the fire section. First card I'd like to pull your attention to is this Charmeleon that has a Swablu featured on it. The art's nice. Charmeleon's great because I like Charizard so much, but we're going to set this card aside for later, and when we get to come back to it, we'll get to see why. Alright, so we'll leave that here on the side. Next up, Charizard. We have little post-it notes in there attached to the energy card that we keep in the slot, just so that we know we have the card when we're looking through the binder. We don't need to worry about finding it. But let's jump into the Charizard binder and find out what this would be. So, of course, I can't spoil too much, so I have to jump right to the bookmark. And now we can go through the Charizard binder. So, up here we have Arceus, Platinum Arceus. Then we have Boundaries Crossed. There's a Boundaries Crossed Cosmo Holo here. Plasma Storm Secret Rare, which is unrelated to this video, but this card is sick. So glad we pulled that. We have a Still Sealed 276 XYP from Japan. Amazing card. And down here on the bottom right, we see our first Legendary Treasures Holo. So the holo pattern in this set, you might recognize it, is now reused in the Black Bolt and White Flare set. So you got all those lines going across the card, and a neat holo pattern. Very, very cool. But this Charizard's great. And as we will see on the next page, that Charizard got reprinted multiple times. So we got two more here. First up, we have the reverse holo of that Charizard, which we also need to pull out to throw into the binder. And we have the deck exclusive Cosmos Holo version of that Charizard. So a little bit of that nostalgic flair coming back for this card. So this guy stays in the binder because he does not have a space in the Legendary Treasures binder, but very cool to point that out. And you can see here some of the Flash Fire Charizards. That set had 1 million as well. Cool. Very nice. So, short aside to jump into the Charizard binder, which means we can pull this guy out, and we can throw this Charizard in there, and now that page is complete. Nice. Moving right along, this Victini EX is a card I would like to point out here. So this is just a half art. This card was quite good in the decks at the time, and this was a truly direct reprint. So you can see down here, Legendary Treasures, 24 out of 113. We go to our fancy stack. Hey look, it's the exact same art, but from Plasma Storm, number 18 out of 135. So, same card in every single way except which set it was printed into. So, neat, but you get to see that it's a true reprint here. So we'll throw this back in the slot. And I will also say that this Victini with Turbo Energize and Intensifying Burn also had a full art back in Plasma Storm. So this one is much cooler in my opinion. Of course, it's a black and white era full art, so the textures and colors are fantastic, but Plasma Storm full art version of that reprint. Okay, so it seems like I've talked about a lot on this fire page, but bear with me for one more second. Tepig, Pignite, and Emboar. These three tell a story. As you can tell, small child, probably toddler age, with a Tepig here. Actually, let me just pull it out. With a Tepig and 2 young parents. Alright, and then we move right along. Both the family and the Tepig have grown up, and now it is a Pignite sitting there with an older of that child, the same one from the previous card, and then a new kid that came into the picture as well. Parents are a little bit older. And finally, we have the Emboar with the fully grown family, where now the original parents are grandparents, and each of the kids seems to have kids of their own. And it's quite a nice little set of 3 cards to throw in there. So I like that little art set that they did there. And these are actually reprints of the very first Tepig, Pignite, and Emboar cards that came out in black-white base. So take down 30, take down 30. You get the drill. Here's the Pignite. And finally, here is the Emboar. Nice. Very, very cool. Now let's move along, get through the set a tiny bit faster, but just keep in mind that most of these are reprints of cards from previous sets, but with new artwork. Nice. Love it. So here is another fun thing to point out. This Empoleon has a Trubbish on its back and a Phione flying around there in the water next to it. And on the Phione card, we see that same Trubbish, but instead of an Empoleon, it's actually some Wingles up there. So, some neat little scenes that you can find in these pieces of art if you look at them. Pay attention to your commons, guys. Very cool stuff over there. Russian Keldeo, absolutely broken. As long as you threw a floatstone on it, you could get out of Hypnotoxic Laser for free. Who doesn't like that? X-Ball Mewtwo, extremely, extremely popular at the time. Bunch of really awesome Psychics, and look at this. This Natu, 2 of them shivering in the cold. I'm going to pull this one aside for later as well, for another reason that similar to the Charmeleon that I will show you when we get there. Alright, so flipping on to the next page, we have quite a lot of Psychics in this set, and I'd like to draw your attention to this Garbodor. Garbotoxin. I gave you a nice 3-second break there in case you needed to break out in a cold sweat if you ever played at the time. Garbotoxin was a giant pain in multiple body parts, and people loved playing Garbotoxin because they didn't like their opponents. At least that's how I felt. So every time you'd want to do something fun, Garbodor would come out with Garbotoxin and kind of ruin your day. But that card is a reprint of the original one from Dragons Exalted. I actually like this art better because it looks more like a trash monster than this one, which just looks more like a weird, trashy guy. But either way, very, very cool. And let me pull out this Trubbish real quick. And I want to show you there that there are some Wingles in there. So if you remember from the Phione card, where there's Trubbish and Wingles. So all 3 of those cards together tell a nice little story. It was not the Sigilyph, so I will save that story for another time. But let's keep a move on. Alright, arts from this set are fantastic. So many of these cards were playable, and that's almost certainly why they reprinted them here. This Garchomp was good. Darkrai with Dark Cloak, very, very powerful, especially with Dark Patch at the time. Very cool stuff. Lots and lots of memories of me playing these cards in real legit decks. So, minimal fanfare, but this is technically the grand reveal of the set, where we have the 2 golden cards here. Before we get to that real quick though, I want to point out these black and white Kyurem. Not only did these get half art reprints in Boundaries Crossed, but they also got full art reprints. And these cards are gorgeous. So you can see down here, Boundaries Crossed, typical black-white era gold outlines on the full art cards. But this is beautiful. I absolutely love these cards. And of course, we're not going to show the black without showing the white. Got white Kyurem up here as well. Amazing texture, amazing cards. So happy to have these in our collection. Alright, Lugia EX. Pull this guy out real quick. This card was definitely playable at the time. And, you guessed it, this is a direct reprint of the half art from Plasma Storm. So it seems like I'm pulling out a lot of Plasma Storm cards, and there's actually a lot of reprints from a lot of different sets. It just so happens to be that the Plasma Storm ones were the most fun to look at, I think. So, Lugia EX, exact reprint. Very cool. But, similar to the other ones, and Plasma Storm, it got a full art version as well. And boy howdy is this card expensive now. I'm so happy we bought booster boxes of this set at the time. $80 in and out, no problem. Alrighty, so now that we're truly at the end, let's get into Reshiram Gold. So similar to the original sets in this era, we had 2-tone or 1-tone cards. And I would argue this is a fairly 1-tone card. You know, really the only way you can tell the difference is the texture, and the light reflecting off of the texture gives them different colors. And so these are just kind of fun and mesmerizing to look at, but these cards are wonderful. A fun little anecdote is, when we've been going to card shows over the last 8 months, we have found a million of this Reshiram, and until we found this copy, we had never found any raw Zekrams that the seller was okay with selling. There was one vendor who had one, but they said, honestly, the price I would want to charge for it is way more than market, so they decided to keep it in their case. I think they still have it, so that's cool. But here's the Zekrom as well, another fantastic 1-tone card. All right, but we're not about to go into the reverses. Don't worry, because I have some things to show you first. So, remember that Swablu and Charmeleon card that I pulled out earlier? Well, if we look at the Swablu card, we got a Charmeleon on there. Nice. So, it looks like the order goes Swablu first, where Charmeleon is accidentally... Oh no, it actually goes this way. Charmeleon laying down next to Swablu and accidentally burns its cloud, and then the Swablu gets angry and flies away. Nice. Love it when they put cards like this together. 2 Pokemon that you'd never expect to hang out, now get to hang out. I love the world building there. So throw the Swablu back in. And then similarly, if you remember these 2 cold Natus freezing in the snow, well, we pull out the Bouffalant, and Bouffalant, with its giant afro, gave them a nice place to warm up and get out of the bluster and the snow. So another cute pairing of cards here. Love the arts from this set. Okay, so I've tempted you guys up until now, so I'll just rip it out, rip the band-aid off, whatever the phrase is, and that this binder also contains the Radiant Collection. The Radiant Collection was a subset within Legendary Treasures, mostly reprints as well, but they got some really, really cool hollow patterns and textures on them. So look at this Growlithe, for example. Adorable, 2 Growlithes together, but then on the bottom of the card here, you get a ton of sparkly lines and flowers and hearts, and it just really adds to the overall appeal of this card. Plus you get a reverse confetti hollow pattern in the back there. Lovely. So I'm only going to pull out a few of these, but I love all of them. And since we were pulling packs back in the day, we actually have multiple sets of all of these Radiant Collections that we have been trading out and selling to other vendors. Nice, nice, nice. So, no surprise, the Pikachu is one of the most valuable out of these hollow patterned normal cards, but that is okay. Pikachu always gets the Pikachu tax. And in this case, I think it may deserve it. Great card. Okay, so now this is arguably the grand reveal of this set. So I'll do that now. And this is the remainder of the Radiant Collection and the full arts from the Radiant Collection. And it's not just full art EXs. There's also just normal full art Pokemon here as well. So everyone's invited to this party. Before we get there though, let's pull out the other popular Pokemon here, Eevee. Some wonderful hearts there on the bottom. And I will pull out the 3rd most popular Pokemon in all of Pokemon history, Stunfisk. Who isn't seduced by that already, right? So I've heard rumors that the Radiant Collection was included in Legendary Treasures as a way to attract girls and women into the Pokemon TCG. I have no idea if that's true. However, if that was their intention, I would not be surprised if they succeeded very, very heavily, because these cards are adorable. Who would not want to include this card in their binder if they were collecting cute things? Radiant Collection is just 100% cute, and they even took one of the ugliest Pokemon and made it cute, so you know they were trying real hard. Okay, so I'll pull out these full arts one at a time. This Shaman EX also got that the confetti hollow pattern on the back, which is kind of what McDonald's hollows get. But this art is wonderful. And like I mentioned before, these are reprints. And this Shaman is a reprint of the Shaman EX from Next Destinies. very cool card as well. They are both the flying form, not the land form, which is the little hedgehog version of it. But this card, great as well. Next up, Reshiram. So not only is this not an EX, so it doesn't, it's not like a 2 prize Pokemon like they usually do for these full arts at the end, but also this is a reprint of a card that was not even shiny when it was first printed. So you can see Outrage and Blue Flare there. Kind of hard to see depending on angle with how shiny and over the top everything is. Plus those are all roses in the background as far as I can tell. But that Reshiram is a reprint of this Reshiram from Next Destinies. Outrage, Blue Flare. But Next Destinies, I think, was the second set in the third set in the Black and White era after Noble Victories and then Black White base. So, cool. So, even the non-holo rares have a chance to shine in later sets. This Emolga, yet again, as I've been saying with most of these, adorable. A fantastic card to throw into your binder. And I love the art, the hearts everywhere on this card. Very nice. Okay, moving right along. Mew EX. This is probably the most sought after card from this set, both in terms of looks, popularity of Pokemon, and therefore price. But another fantastic card. So glad we pulled these ourselves because the price on these is stupid good, or stupid high now. So good in terms of high value, bad in terms of if you want to buy one. But amazing card there. And as is tradition for this set, it is a reprint of this Mew EX from Dragons Exalted. So versatile replace, as is on the same card down there. But wonderful card here. I love the textures on the back of these Black-White era full arts so much. Absolutely love it. Okay, and last but not least, Meloetta EX, which was the only card in the Radiant collection to get a reprint within the Radiant collection. So you have the half art here with these big music note swooshes down here. And then we have the full art version, which I had pulled out here. Fun fact, as far as I know, the hands and the headband are music notes, and the hair is actually has the lines on it for the staff in sheet music. So, very cool. Very cool indeed. I wonder if she is treble or bass. I'm going to guess treble. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess treble there. All right, so no master set is complete without reverses. So let's get into those. I'll be fairly quick. Plus, remember, we have this Charizard to put in there. All right, keeping it quick. Immediately pulling out this Legendary Treasures Charizard to throw in the real one there. Reverses on all these guys. Very nice. Very cool Gyarados art, but yet again, the Magikarp art beats the Gyarados art. This should not be surprising to me at this point, but it seems like people love Magikarp so much that they just keep printing amazing art for Magikarp. Did any of you guys get the IR of Magikarp from, I think, Paldea Evolved? That card is crazy. Moving on, there's the Emolga that we saw in the Radiant collection as well. And here is where we get to why it's a Wishlist Wednesday. We are missing the reverse holo of the Natu that I had pulled out earlier. So that Natu in reverse would go right there. But we don't have it yet. So it is sitting there waiting for us to get the card. And similar to that, on this page, we're missing a Solosis reverse. Still waiting on finding that one. Looking for it in the wild. Has not shown up yet. But I think this was the basic, Ken Sugimori art of Solosis rather than the more stylized one here. And finally, we got this guy. And I'm trying to remember which card this is. This card is the Swablu. The Swablu that I pulled out earlier. We do not have a reverse of the Swablu for that. Alright, but here we are at the end of the set. So we're missing 3 reverses total for a master set of Legendary Treasures. So if you came here looking for a master set of Legendary Treasures, you basically got it. There are just 3 missing reverses there. So you got the nice Legendary Collection full arts and half arts here. And then we got the 2 gold guys here. So thank you guys for watching. This episode was actually a request from a viewer on a previous episode. So if there's a set you'd like to see, either a master set or a Wishlist Wednesday of, please post it in the comments. I'm always looking for insight into what you guys are looking for. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.